Okay, moving on to Texas Tech. Got a lot of familiarity with these guys, obviously, for a lot of different reasons. But when you look at what they've been through, things obviously, with Cliff and his offensive pedigree and where he's been and what he's always been about, they're pretty good on offense. Another top 3 team in college football when it comes to offensive football. Gibby's back there pulling his hair out, just having to prepare for another one of the top 3 teams in the country when it comes to total yards, passing attack, points scored. I can go on and on about what they're doing offensively. It's with these 3 teams that we face, they're doing things in college football that hasn't been done before. And have 3 teams in the same conference being able to do it, and 3 teams that the Mountaineers get to play 3 weeks in a row is something that hasn't been seen before. So everything starts with their quarterback. Mahomes is a big, tall, athletic, dual threat guy. Really does a great job of extending the play and running around and keeping his eyes downfield and throwing it downfield to create plays. I've never seen it happen at this rate. I mean, they are really good at extending plays and receiver-wise keeping the play alive and the quarterback being accurate as he's on the run. So, averaging a bunch of yards in the pass game. It looks to me like they're trying to run the ball a little bit more than they have in the past. I really think DeAndre Washington's a very capable back, one of the better backs that we've seen all year. He's averaging over 100 yards a game and is capable of some big plays, but they've been giving it to him more than I've seen Cliff give it to a back. So they're going to try to run the ball. You can't just drop 9 and expect to be successful against them. You got to try to stop the run. You got to contain the quarterback. The biggest thing what we got to do is play to the whistle defensively, because again they will keep it alive and sling that thing all over the place. So big challenge for our defense, big challenge for our defensive coaches to get a plan together to be able to slow them down. You're not going to stop them. You're not going to stop them. You just got to be able to slow them down. Create some stops when you can. A lot of this is going to fall on us offensively. I brought this up last week. You got to match some scores when you play Baylor, when you play TCU. You got to match scores. Thought we did a decent job of that against Baylor for the first half, not the second half. Didn't do a good job of that at all against TCU. So we got to get the ball in the end zone. We have opportunities and to make plays. We got to make plays. We have, we got to improve our execution to the point to where we can get first down, sustain drives, and punch the thing in. But in addition to that, we got to make plays. We got opportunities to make plays. We got to make plays, match scores. I'd love to be able to control the clock. That's a question that I've already been asked 3 or 4 times this week. We'd love to be able to control the clock and keep that high-powered offense off the field. In order to do that, you got to execute and get first downs. And we haven't done as good a job of that as we need to. We'll keep working on that to get better. Texas Tech defense, they're going to get better. David Gibbs is a good football coach. He's in his first year there, coordinating the defense. So they've given up some points. They've given up some yards. He's going to coach them up. Their players are young and inexperienced and will continue to get better and better. Special teams-wise, you're going to see one of the best returners in college football, Jakeem Grant. Not only is he a dynamic wide receiver, I think he's close to having 1,000 yards already, but he's also a dynamic kick returner. He's taken 2 back to the house. Averages almost 30 yards a return. Hopefully we give him a lot of opportunities. You got to score. If you score, you kick off. And if that's the case, then we'll see if we can contain him. We've contained guys so far this year, and we expect to do the same thing with him. So should be a fun being back home. I know our guys are excited about it. Got back late Thursday night, went to class, gave them the day off Friday, practiced Saturday, Sunday, had 2 good days of work, got ahead on Texas Tech. Monday was their day off, and we're back to work here this afternoon. So we'll be ready to go noon this Saturday. looking forward to a good week of practice and then getting back out there to play. Take some questions.
Coach, you talked a lot.
Oh, go ahead.
Coach, you talked a lot over the course of the season about Skylar trying to develop the chemistry with his receivers. Where does that stand right now in his development?
It's good. It's getting better. It's good and it's getting better. I anticipate it to continue to get better here for the next few weeks.
Dana, you mentioned Cliff trying to add the run. Have you talked to him? Is that sort of the evolution of this offense from Leach?
We don't talk like that anymore. I mean, that's just the nature of it. I mean, we used to talk about anything and everything and would obviously bounce lots of ideas off of each other. But the nature of being in conference, we're not friends like that anymore. So, and the same would go with, Meacham and Lincoln Riley and all. It's all the same. I mean, we all come from the same background, but we don't exchange ideas anymore. So I think a lot of it has to do with that back they got. He's always, been the same. If you do a specific thing and it's positive, then keep doing it. We've always all been about first downs and getting the ball into the end zone. So if you hand it to number 21 and he gets yards and scores, then he's going to hand it to him again. Yeah, they got a big senior offensive-oriented offensive line as well that's been developing over the last 3 years. So those guys have played a lot of football now. So the more continuity he has with his coaching staff and the O-line gets better, it makes it easier to do that stuff.
Dana, can you explain what kind of chore these last 4 games were for you? Like, how many teams in the country might have won a game out of playing these 4 teams in a row without a week out?
Yeah, Bob, we're not going to worry about where we've been. We haven't thought about it. There's nothing we can do about the schedule. Things were lined up that way. There's nothing you can do about it. We're not going to focus on it. We're not going to use it as an excuse. We're going to, we put the TCU game to rest on Saturday morning, and it's been all about Texas Tech moving forward. So the one thing that I've warned our team is we're not going to get caught up in buying into the notion that the hard part is over. We're not saying that you won't hear any of our guys say that, and it's not reality. The hard part's not over. There's 5 games ahead of us that are all going to be challenging. We're in a Power 5 conference. There's good teams in Power 5 conferences, so you better not get caught up in who's at the top or who's at the bottom. You better worry about yourself and what you got to do to improve and get your butt prepared for the next game and get out there and give it your best effort. That's what we're doing. So you won't hear us talking about October anymore.
Dana, one of the few guys on that defense who does have a lot of experience on the line, Brandon Jackson, told me his first offer was from WVU. Did you recruit him, or was that before you got here?
It was right on the front end of when I got here. He's a highly recruited kid. He had a lot of offers. He had a teammate. I can't remember the teammate's name that went with him as well to Texas Tech. So that was 4 or 5 years ago. That was probably right when I first got here. We were in some transition at that point as well. But he's a highly recruited kid. He's a good football player. He's played a lot of ball for him. I'm sure it'd be neat for him to come back home.
Dan, what have your impressions been of early rushing attempts in the past couple games?
Not good. I didn't like that last week. It was an emphasis to try to get the run going, and for the last 2 weeks we did a poor job of that in the first quarter. Number 75 for Baylor had something to do with that. I mean, that dude is a good player. But with that said, Art, we tried to get the run going early. And it wasn't good in the first quarter. I thought we rebounded. It was better in the second quarter and much better in the second half. So we got to keep doing some things, whether it's play calls or scheme or early motivation to be able to play better up front in the run game. That definitely needs to happen.
Is it mistakes in blocking or just, again, man-to-man being beaten up
A
front?
little bit of everything. A little bit of everything.
You had some injuries up front and had to juggle, obviously Yodney out. What's his situation?
He's still day to day. So, you know, we're going to change some things again, you know, this week. We need to be able to play a little bit better up front. You know, I thought T.O. came back and was better. T.O. against Baylor in his defense was really hurt. He did not look good. The week off really was good for him because he played good against TCU. With that said, we'll keep juggling some things around to get guys in position where they can be successful. I don't know exactly what that's going to be yet. We'll experiment with it today and tomorrow to get to that point.
That could mean personnel change?
That will definitely mean personnel changes. So, you know, we got, you know, Stone Underwood, who hasn't played a ton. We got Marcel Lazard, Grant Lingerfelter. Those three guys will get looks today to see where they fit in.
You know, when Cliff Kingsbury first got started at Houston back in 2007 or 2008, I read where he lived on your couch, you know, for kind of a brief period of time. What do you remember about him as a roommate?
Nothing. I never saw him. I stayed up late. He went to bed early. He always got up real early. I always pushed the limit on when I had to get up. He actually had a room. There was no couch, you know, so I would go in one way, he would go in one way, and we never saw each other. We'd see each other at work. So he hard worker, good football coach, good guy.
You know, I guess how did that whole arrangement kind of get started? You know, was it going back to your days, you know, just coaching in Texas Tech, going back to that relationship?
Oh yeah, he was a great player, and this story's been told multiple times. But he was at that transition between, do I keep playing or do I try to coach? And you know, he was at that point where he had liked to kept playing, but his options were starting to run out. So, you know, I always knew he was going to be a good coach. His dad was a coach. He was, you know, quarterback, smart guy. You know, he was searching on what to do. So I said, come on down here to Houston, and you can go up to U of H and work out every day and keep, you know, stay in shape, and then you can see if this coaching thing's something that you might want to do. And Coach Sullivan really liked him, so hired him as a quality control guy. And then when I left, he pretty much took over for me.
You know, Week Tech hasn't had a bye week this year, 10 straight games. Does that play into what you guys want to do, wear them down?
You'd have to ask them. I don't know if that is good or bad for them. You know, I know we've enjoyed our bye weeks. It's allowed us to regroup. So, you know, and again, I'm sure Cliff would say the same thing. Nothing you can do about it. We don't make the schedule, so deal with it. Nobody wants to hear excuses. We're definitely not, you know, telling our kids that's going to be any kind of an advantage whatsoever. You know, you could argue the fact that they've played 2 more games could be an advantage for them. So, you know, we're going to worry about us and what we got to do to get prepared and what we need to do to execute to be successful on Saturday, regardless of who they are or what kind of frame of mind that they're in.
Your receivers had a couple of drops the other night. How do you coach them through that, and just especially since a lot of them are down?
Yeah, tell them catch it. The ball comes to you, catch it.
Do you have to worry about their confidence, though?
Yeah, you got to be careful about that. I mean, we did. You know, there wasn't any yelling going on. You know, you can shatter kids if they make mistakes by lack of concentration or missed opportunities. If you know, if it's because of lack of focus or not being in the right spot or, you know, whatever, then you can jump them to get their attention. I don't think that was the case. I mean, there was about 5 drop balls in the first half, both offensively and defensively, that obviously would have you know, made a difference in the game. Those guys just got to get out there and they got to work on it and they got to have confidence that they'll make that play. I told each and every one of them, I'd say, look, I've seen you make that play before, so have confidence in yourself that you can make it and you get in that position to make it next time, then you need to make the play. We're going to give you more opportunities, and when that opportunity arises, you need to make that play. And it wasn't one person, it was 4 different people. So those 4 will have other opportunities, and they will execute that better.
Dan, when you talk about matching scores against these high-powered offenses, do you mean tit for tat and just really not letting momentum swing, or are you just talking about in the grand scheme you need to be able to score?
Both, yeah. I mean, we didn't match a single score against TCU. Every time they scored, we punted, and you know, there's 2 points in the second period where we stopped them. Well, that's a great opportunity for our offense to go score as well. So, you know, you have opportunities, you need to take advantage of the opportunities. If it gets into a situation where they've scored and scored and scored, like Baylor did in the third quarter, then we offensively need to have the mentality, it does not matter what our defense does, we need to get out there and match those scores. These are 3 of the best offenses that have played game in a while. So Texas Tech's going to score some points. And, you know, we need to take advantage of the opportunities and execute appropriately and make plays that we know how to make. But if it gets into a deal where they score 2 or 3 in a row, like Texas Tech did against Oklahoma State, I believe it was 24-0 at one point, I think, or 24-7 or something. If that happens, then get out there and match the scores. That's the mentality that you need to have offensively.
Dana, the running game after Wendell, there's the stats, you know, there's a drop off. Are the holes just not there when you look at the film when those other guys are in there, or is Smallwood just hitting them better, you know, being more explosive when he gets those opportunities as opposed to the other guy?
He's playing well. There's no doubt. You know, there's an element to that. He's playing well. He's had more opportunities. You know, Russell needs to get going. We've challenged him before, and he's responded. He had a good game against Texas Tech a year ago. He's used to being the dude, you know, and Wendell's right now playing really, really well. So he needs to be the complement to that, and he needs to get in there, and he needs to have the confidence in himself to take advantage of whatever opportunities that he's got. So it's the same people blocking.
With regard to the running game early, has that played into maybe overall slow starts that you kind of gotten off schedule and off plan and haven't held on and have punted it back? Maybe that's why early scoring went down.
Scored against Baylor. I mean, that was a long pass, right? The running game against Oklahoma was decent early. You know, I don't want to sit here and point the finger at our O-line in the running game for us not being where we need to be offensively or as a team right now. The last week we didn't get it going very good. Missed a couple of passes that would have changed the outlook of quote unquote not starting very good. So we'll keep working at it.
Is Skyler still getting you into the right run plays? Right,
He's doing a good job.
Coach, last couple of weeks you've seen some top-notch quarterbacks, Russell, Boykin, obviously. After seeing what Mahomes, though, has done, the numbers he's put up, where does he rank with the best quarterbacks you've seen in the Big 12 this year?
I got to see him up close and personal to be able to make that assessment. We didn't see him last year either. They went with the other guy. I think he was hurt when we played him, so I haven't seen him up close and personal yet. You watch all the film you want to. There's something about seeing kids up close and personal. Didn't see Seth Russell up close and personal either until we saw him. He, obviously a really good player. Boykin's really a good player. I've seen plenty of him. Glad I don't have to see him anymore. But Mahomes is good on tape. He makes plays on tape. You know what his demeanor is and all that. I don't know yet. But he's a quality player. Has made lots and lots of plays for him this year. That's for sure.
You going to be able to patch a secondary together this week?
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I ain't playing out there. They ain't gonna suit me up to get out there. So we got to get those guys ready to go. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. When these backups have opportunities to go out there and play, nobody cares if they're young or inexperienced or even if they're on scholarship. Get out there and play. So, I know the likes of Chestnut and KJ Dillon. Those guys will, give us everything that they got, you know, and if they go down or if they're not 100%, that's not going to prevent them from practicing and getting out there and playing. They're a Worley, same thing. Those guys all, I expect to be out there practicing and playing today.
Your coverage teams have been pretty good this year. Is there common denominators?
Yeah, they're you know, our kicks have been good. It always starts with the kicks. The kicks have been good. It's the same people covering that's been covering. It's the same schemes. Guys, you know, they're doing their job and they're getting down there. I think the kicks are a big part of that, a really big part of that. And then our guys are getting down the field and we're doing a good job of containing them. So let's hope that keeps happening.